What is up, everybody? Brian Mendler back in your life on another edition of the podcast. And today I am super excited to be joined finally by my man, Jeff Kubiak. First of all, I just got to say, I apologize to you. We've been trying to do this for a while now. And, I think it was more on my end. So for the part I played in canceling, I apologize, but it's good to see you and it's good to have you on here today.
Likewise, my friend. It's we're here now, so who cares how it happened, right?
Yeah, and you're an author. You're an author. You're an AP now. You were a teacher. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I've always been around kids and worked with kids, worked for kids. I didn't do school well growing up. I hated it. School did not work for me. And I always thought if I ever get back into it, I would make it different than the way I had it. And mom was a high school teacher for 35 years. And, through teaching, coaching worked well. I coached swimming for a long time and everything worked out to continue on that track, and then moved into, administration so I can still be in the game and hopefully making a change.
What was the struggle for you as a kid?
My learning style. I'm totally an ADHD kid. I grew up in the 70s, industrialized educational model, right? And so teachers didn't really like that I couldn't sit still, became a class clown and started reaching out, and it just didn't work. I got in a lot of trouble and then kind of became a bully. I got bullied in sixth grade. All of a sudden had the most amazing teacher who changed my life and made me feel like I counted.
What did they do? What specifically? Do you remember to tell the story?
Oh yeah, I mean, so Mrs. Sherry, oh my gosh, she knew how to give me attention when I might have needed it. She knew how to put me in my place kindly. She knew how to tap in and she wanted to get to know me. It was funny, her and her husband had this little pipe and tobacco shop downtown in Davis, and she always, invited kids just to come by and say hey, and she wanted us to be part of what she was doing, and it was amazing. And I kept in touch with her up until 2 years ago when she passed, and that's the kind of a teacher that I wanted to be, and I felt like I was. I still have kids that I taught checking in with me and keeping in touch. And man, it's, you attach to the kid's heart, and then you can really, really make life better and change things. So, yeah.
No question. I'm smirking because you see us. It was a tobacco and smoke shop, right? Pipe shop, right? The irony of we're bringing kids to that kind of a shop only in the 70s, right?
Yeah, but it was not the cannabis shop. It was old school tobacco.
Now it would be the cannabis shop. Now it would be.
But it was just, Davis growing up as a little town. It was 20,000 people, small university, and it's just like everyone knew each other. And yeah, you're right though. Like, hey, come on down to my smoke shop.
Hey, do you feel like, so you kind of glossed over it. Do you feel like being bullied is what helped contribute to you becoming a bully? Tell me a little bit about that time in your life.
No doubt. I'll never forget in second grade getting pinned down outside and having wood chips shoved in my mouth, uh, because, I was the class clown. I tried to be funny to get my attention, and that was my outlet, right? Because I was all over the place. But then, you start doing that and everyone's like, clapping, laughing. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get attention now. And so started making fun of people and doing this and that. And yeah, you get bullied, it gets into your heart, and depending on what your issues are at home and behind closed doors, that's your outlet, right? Hey, I get crushed at home or by other people. I'm going to start crushing because I feel like that might make me feel better. And as well as me being around kids that, it becomes an epidemic. It really does.
Attack before you get attacked. Right. No question. I think a lot of kids do that. What was going on with you at the time though? Like, so what was there home life issues? Like, was it just the ADHD or was there other stuff going on too?
Well, home life was good. Although I did grow up with an angry father. He did the best he could, though. He grew up in a terrible, terrible situation. But my parents, I had over 30 foster kids living with us. My parents had so much love to give, inviting people in and doing things. But it was because teachers couldn't handle me. And thank God for swimming, because that kind of kept me even keeled with all the outlet of exercise. But I couldn't freaking sit still for a minute, man. And really making me sit in my desk with my mouth shut and trying to do some work. It just, man, you look at things now, you got the bouncy balls and the
Right.
couches and this. It's like, gosh, I would have been
Right.
in heaven to be a
Right.
kid now.
Right. Or like the exercise bikes. I've seen trampolines. I mean, I've seen it all. Right. And well, the goal now is to try to fit your teaching to their learning style. And back in our day, it was the opposite. It was, if you're the kid, you have to adjust. And if you don't adjust, you're in trouble. And now really in a lot of places, it's the opposite, which it should be the opposite, right? It's the concept is bringing our thing to their life, right? Our content, delivering it. And I always say we're in a delivery world, right? We're in the world of Amazon and Grubhub and Uber Eats. And it's like, if you don't bring it to my door these days, I don't really want it. And education's the same now, right? We got, with virtual and everything going on, I mean, you got to deliver it. And it's sort of that same mindset.
Totally, and we ask so much of teachers. Teachers are freaking magicians. It's crazy of what they do. But one thing is that they've got to recognize each kid and use what they know or what their colleagues know to be able to address and to reach that kid, because we're losing them. We're losing them all the time. We're losing amazing educators, and we're losing amazing students who knows what they're going to become, right? And that's just it's killing us.
Well, right now more than ever. I mean, I agree, and I think right now in our society more than ever. That's why I've been on a lunatic campaign saying I think schools need to be open, and I do think schools need to be open. I think every kid should have the right to go to school, and and I think it's a travesty that I just can't. I shake my head every day, and y'all out there are you guys open? What are you guys doing? What's your
Well,
latest?
right now I have two cohorts of some of our kids with the greatest needs. They're on campus all day,
Oh, good.
from 7:30 to 3:30. They're fed, the
Yeah,
whole
that's
thing.
the key, right?
And but I'm in a real challenging school. We have a high poverty rate and just some amazing kids with some broken stories going on. But California as a whole, I totally agree. We do, but I know so many teachers that have had COVID and have been out for 2 weeks to 5 months, and there's this fine line. We've got to offer something for kids in person, but at the same time, we want to make sure everyone's got structures and safety and protocols. But you're right, man. I mean, I have a sixth grader and a 10th grader, and they're struggling. You
Right.
know, they, my boy is a spitting image of me, and he's all over the map, and it's hard. My daughter, she's really struggling without her friendships and being a first year in high school and never setting foot on
Yeah.
campus.
She hasn't
Dude,
stepped foot once on
no,
campus.
because in Davis it's 10 to 12 is the high school, has not seen high school once.
So they're 100% virtual. Are
100%.
they doing anything? They got extracurriculars, any of that, or it's basically not much else even.
She's on the swim team, and so they've got it set. Two kids per lane. My boy plays lacrosse. They basically just practice and do drills, but he's out there. At least he's doing right, and he's out on the green belt with friends, and they're masked up and everything. But it's hard. Having I've got a mom that's recovering from breast cancer, and I want to make sure that I'm safe and I can still be around her, and you got all these variables, and it's just like no one no one's winning. No one, well, except for like Amazon.
Right, but
But
right, but that's my issue. My issue is that that doesn't add up. It doesn't add up to me. Like, look, it's okay. I mean, I went did I went to Costco the day before Christmas, and there had to be 1,500 people there. There had to be. There was 1,500 people in my local Costco. Multiply that by every Costco across the country. But my kid can't sit in a classroom with 20 other kids. There's no debate for me with this. I feel I'm not trying to in any way downplay the virus. That's another issue, right? I understand safety and whatever we got to do, but look, the average teacher is 42 years old. That's the average teacher, right? The average teacher. I was reading an article that the average teacher is 17 times more likely to die on their way to work in a car crash than they are of getting COVID and dying. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have that older population. We do have them in some schools, but not most. Most schools, educators are retired by mid 50s to early 60s. I mean, that's most schools, not every, but most. You got to go with most. And when you got kids who haven't even been in school, and the crazy, and I live in New York, so we're a lot like you, but the difference in the way different people have handled the same thing is just fascinating to me. It really is.
Well, it's fascinating, ridiculous, sad, whatever it is. But you're right. It's like, I mean, in California, man, I'm not going to bash, people, but it's like, come on, we got, like you said, with the Costco, like every state office is closed, but why can't we have kids?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. You're right. 15 to 20 kids in a classroom doing the right thing, getting them outside playing. And
dude, my daughter plays hockey, right? So my daughter's in first grade. She plays hockey this year, which is her first year playing hockey. It's great. Awesome sport. Love it. And there's like 16 kids on the ice, and literally they're literally falling all over each other. Like, I kid you not, it's full on, it's like bumper cars out there. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is my point. You got to get kid. There has to be the choice. The good news is we have virtual. Virtual is a great option, and it's going to be there. Like, no one's taking that away. I feel like people think because some people are on the open schools bandwagon, it means we should get rid of virtual. I don't believe that. I think virtual is here forever. And I think for some kids, it's been fantastic. I really do. Like, I think some kids have really excelled in it. But, the ones I worry about are the ones who I taught, which were the home life was broken, and there was abuse, and there was neglect, and there was all those things. And when you multiply that times the scale we're seeing it now, I think it's scary for a lot of kids.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're seeing right now. So we're like at about a day 110 or something. Got kids with 40 or 50 absences, right, of virtual. Where are they? Well, we've got bandwidth issues. We've got home life issues. I'm not turning my camera on because you're not coming into my apartment with 17 other people, right? And this and that. And yeah, it is amazing for a lot of people, but you're right, man. To me, I always say schools are open, but not all campuses are. But it's just like, you're right, Brian. I mean, we have to, we're way too reactive and not responsive or forward thinking.
School is so much more than 3+3. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, school, I'm not saying people aren't teaching. I know people are teaching. Of course people are teaching. And I think people are doing a great job at it, right? It's not directed at any one person. It's directed as a dad who's annoyed already, who's saying, all right, enough. Let my kids live their life. Everyone else now has to adjust. They have made adjustments long enough. We have asked kids to adjust long enough. And it is now time for everyone else to adjust to them. And what that means is, and again, I feel bad for people who have an immunocompromised mom or dad or whatever. It stinks. It does. But what that means is that person has to adjust. Society does not adjust to you anymore. You adjust to it. Kind of like if you have a peanut allergy, you have something else where it could affect you. And we know, and look, people are respectful. Like, when I go on an airplane and they say, don't open peanuts because someone has a peanut allergy, I don't open peanuts because I'm a reasonable human being and I'm not going to try to do anything to harm anyone else. Right. And I think most people are that way. So I think by now we all know the risks. We all know the dangers. We all understand it. And now you got to let kids live their life, and whatever happens from there happens, but that's got to be the foundation to me. And, and I hope it moves in that direction, because I feel like we're doing a lot of damage to a lot of kids. And, I when I got into this profession, it was always about doing what was best for kids. It wasn't about what was doing best for kid's grandma or kid's parent or kid's teacher. It was doing what's best for kid. And I see that line being blurred right now. And that's a
Oh,
hard thing for me to watch.
yeah, and it's the Costco argument. I mean, come on, like, why can we have a cajillion people in this place who, have their masks right here, have their masks up here? It's like, really? But we
Right.
can't have, 15,
Well,
20
I
kids. So,
said they should do first period at Home Depot, second period at Walmart, third period at Costco, fourth period, right? This is what your daughter's school should do. And then they could be in school all day. They just go from right. They could go to CVS for fifth period. I mean, that's the thing. Go to, go whatever the grocery store is out there,
yeah, yeah.
it's that's the way it is. So what I want to talk a little bit more. I'm interested to hear more about the you as a kid. So the ADHD, when did that change for you? How did that manifest itself? And did you get better, so to speak? Did you go on meds? What'd you do?
I didn't go on meds, but it was swimming. Swimming like saved my life. And that's, my sister swam. My parents thought, okay, let's do this. And, when like they say that when you are swimming, you call more muscles into play at one time than any other actually sport, right? And so I was going. It became a year-round thing for me, and I started getting really good. And then it saved me. It saved me to be able to think, to organize, to act like an actual human, and move forward. And I finally started realizing, after having Mrs. Sherry, that, what, like, class count's cute, but like, I do need to learn, and I do need to be able to read and write and act like a societal member that's going to contribute. And
Right.
and so, it's,
I do know.
if it wasn't swimming, I was playing soccer or water polo, baseball. That's what you did where I grew up. And
How did you get through school though? Like, how did you get through school?
well,
What you make adjustments, right? But what do you do to get through school?
you have loving, supporting parents, but also it's like you figure that school is what everyone does, so I got to do it. And I'm fairly smart guy, and then I actually, I got into books because Mrs. Sherry was totally into read alouds, right? And close your eyes for 20 minutes, she'd
Yeah.
read and it's like, wow, the things that come to life when you can read or have been read to. And it's just, and then I started liking to write stories and things like that. And so that got me excited, and imagination. And I loved playing and Legos and doing all that kind of stuff. And so having different focal points, thought kind of, if I can hang in school here, then I can play, I can swim, I can do this, and I can make it through the day. So yeah.
So how far did swimming take you? What did you do with that?
It got me through college. I was on the U.S. national team for a few years. I missed the Olympic team by 1200s in
Wow.
1988.
What and what?
Breaststroke. So, the great thing about the Olympic Games and the sport of swimming was, at Olympic trials, they take only the top two. And that happened just because the U.S. dominant before that. There used to be three in each event or whatever. And uh, sport is amazing. I wasn't on. I didn't go my best time, and boom, missed the team 1200s. And it took me a long time to get over
I was gonna
because
say, what did that do to you?
it brought me into a spin, and then the addictive personality takes over, and I find other outlets, right? And I hung on for a little while, and just I had to stop because of injuries. But then I started coaching and had a lot of successes there. I coached two Olympians, and um, uh, coaching is a lot like swimming. You find how to adapt and find a niche in every single kid to make them understand how they can be amazing and great. And so that was a great thing. I love coaching.
You said your addictive personality took over and you went into a spin. What more specific?
Yeah, so drinking. I come from a long line of addicts. Not actually my parents, but their sides, and drinking. It it just became normal, and you start hiding it, and then all of a sudden life is a spin. And so, I recently celebrated a year of sobriety, and I'm looking forward to the next 30. But
Good
you
for
have
you.
this addictive personality. If it's not alcohol, it's X, Y, or Z, and they're all detrimental.
Yeah.
And that's swimming saved my life. It really did.
We have our stories are very similar. I mean, I too am in addiction recovery, and my wife is also in AA. She's been going to meetings now she just celebrated 2 years, and she goes to meetings a lot. It's fantastic to see, but it's that personality, and I have it too. Like I think it's part of what makes me really successful in my life as well. Like part of what makes me successful is that addictive, like never quit, like always push, like constantly need to get my way, like that mentality I think in some ways is really healthy and beneficial, but when it goes too far it can get you in a lot of trouble. And I've always struggled with that balance.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah, it's drive. Like we can't stop until we get to whatever it is, and then sometimes it pushes people away from you. It ruins relationships, right? But on the other hand, it helps us thrive and drive and stay alive too. So
Did the drinking start for you, or when the Olympic thing happened, was that kind of where it started?
that's where it spun. It kind of started, trying things at an early age with friends and the peer pressure thing, and then like, whoa, this is pretty fun, and then that's what you do, and then you start hiding it, and going through the whole thing. And but yeah, I hit a real low point because I basically, in my mind, knew I was going to make the '88 Olympic team, um, and it didn't didn't happen. So
Who made
um,
it that year? Who were the swimmers that year?
Mike Berriman, who was the world record, well, he was American record holder, became the world record holder, and then a guy named Kirk Stackle from University of Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, you were probably like one at the time. So
I was four. No, no, wait, 88?
'88.
No, no, I was born in 76. I was 12.
Oh, okay,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
no, that was, I would have remembered that. I mean, really I think who's the first real like swim? There
Matt
was,
Biondi.
yeah, Matt Biondi, right? Obviously, Michael Phelps has been up there. There's been a bunch of them now lately. That sport's really, grown in popularity.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Gosh, it's going to be a travesty if we don't see the Olympic Games this year. We
Agreed.
already put them off another year. It's like I live to watch competition. Dude,
How does
I
it,
love it.
how does all of that factor into your work now, like into being an administrator, into being a teacher, into being a leader?
It it helps me tap into different people, different personalities, different individuals, and having been around sport for so long, you can really see different things about kids and people and how to tap into them, and maybe help them find the secret sauce of what they didn't know. And coaching individuals is like no other thing. And not only do I just love the smell of chlorine, which is a weird thing, but a lot of swimmers say that, but it's just you see the struggle in kids, right? Like, is it running, kicking a ball? Is it learning how to do a flip turn? You see it, and then like just life exudes and just pounds through them because they found the way to improve or make something happen. And it's beautiful.
Right.
Sport is just like, no, like even watching the girls fall over each other in hockey,
Yeah,
see your daughter, how she, finally got her stick the right
totally.
way and just nailed it. Right. And it's like, wow.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's a kid out there. So there's one kid out there who has made by far the biggest improvement, and he was terrible when it started. I mean, the kid could literally, he's a little kid. I mean, the ages are like 4 to 8, right? So my daughter's one of the older ones, but this kid and he couldn't do anything. I mean, he would just go on the ice and he would fall all over the place, but he would stay out there. And now these kids have been in class for like 5 weeks. And I was just looking at my daughter and I said, number 89 has gotten good. Like he can skate. And it's only been 5 weeks. And I said to her, it just shows you, like, you know, when it all started for that kid, all the other kids would do like a drill, and then they would all wait and like bang their sticks, like for that kid to finally make it through. And it was great. Like they would all encourage him and everything. But now you see that kid and he's getting better and he's little, and it's just, you see that, right? And when you get to see that as an educator, to me, there's no better feeling. It's why I did that job.
Totally, man. And he could be the next Gretzky or something, right? And it just, or the next, Elon
Right.
Musk, who cares what it is, but he taps into something different. And then all of a sudden he's like, you know what? I matter. I could be good at something. And dang, their life turns around at that point. And it's just, it's a chill finding moment,
Yep. It's amazing what success does for people, right? I always say in my seminars, I have a slide it's a clock, but instead of numbers, it's got 3 words. Where the 12 would be, you have the word success, where the 3 would be, you have the word confidence, and where the 9 would be, you have the word competence. And I always say to people, think about a ball that spins between those 3 words, because in life, those 3 words are breeders of each other. Success breeds confidence. Once I become confident, I start to become more competent, which makes me more successful, right? And the thing is that some kids have never tasted any of those 3. They don't know what success is. They don't know what confidence is, and they don't know what competence is. And sometimes as a teacher, you got to shove them into that cycle. You got to make them feel successful. And that's when some teachers be like, so you're just going to like spoon feed him success? And I'm like, yeah, or a fork or a knife, but he has to feel success. And the thing is, we know that in like every sport, if you think about it, right? T-ball, what do? We put the ball on a tee. That's not baseball, but why do we put it on a tee? Because we know a kid needs to feel success. Then there's graduation to underhand coach pitch. And if you ever done that, or you probably done that, you're not trying to throw a strike. You're literally trying to hit the bat, right? So like the kid swings like this, you're like, ready, right? And then they swing like this and you throw it. Why? Because you just know there's nothing more nauseating than watching a kid swing and miss 15 times up and then having a debate. Do we get the tee for him? Do it right? So you, as the coach, you're like, where's that bat? Success. That too. Confidence and competence breed more sex, but that's not what I was trying to say, right? But when you can make kids feel those things, you see a different level of connection. And as a teacher, I always say, make that your focal point. Make success your goal. Like when you give a test or a quiz, are you looking to figure out what they know or what they don't know? Right?
Exactly. Right. Or both. And like, for me, I had the teacher, like the shaming the Jeff, like, oh, you're not going to comply, the old word compliance. Right. So I'm going to put you over in the corner. I'm going to actually slam your head against the wall. I had this amazing foreign exchange student was in my 5th grade class, and the teacher wouldn't let him go to the bathroom. So he goes in the back and pees on the dictionaries. It's like, you got to find a way to make it happen. But then of course he gets in more trouble. Right. But it's just like, how could you not want to see a kid shine or learn something new? And it's just, I love that with adults too. Like, that's what teaching swimming to people that don't know how to swim, that are 50, 60, 70 years old. It's like, oh my gosh, to see that smile. And it's like, oh my God, I can float, I can swim, or whatever it is. It's phenomenal.
How do you deal with, though, or work with teachers, though, that are not really interested in changing their mentality or changing how they, because, look, one of my rules is I think it's easier to change kids often than it is to change adults, especially stubborn adults. There are some people that are stubborn people and they don't want to do anything different. How, as their leader, do you go about trying to make that change?
Well, yeah, I think there's little nuances, right? And you go into classrooms as much as you can, A, because the champion teachers love it, and B, because the other ones don't, right? So they don't love it. So you're in there for the kids. And if you're showing the power of positivity and tapping into the kids, if they don't want to do that, and if they're going to be, negative Nellies the whole time, you're going to show the kids how to get fired up and how to be excited. And you keep having conversations like, gosh, you look tired. Do you need a break? Or, why are you still doing this? What really drives you? Well, because, I want the retirement and this and that. Well, okay, that's great. Right. But like, hey, can you make sure that you connect with that kid over there in the corner who's eating the crayon and crying? Right. What's going on with them? So, you bleed your positivity, you keep feeding those that want to do it. And eventually they'll go do something else, because I'm not going to allow them to hurt kids. You're not going to allow them to do that. And hopefully their colleagues won't, and their parents will protect them too. So jump on in there.
Yeah. And I think again, it's another fascinating component of virtual learning is now everything's on the table, right? There's nowhere to hide as a teacher anymore. You can't hide because you're coming in my living room, you're coming in my kitchen, and I'm watching. I was watching. I watched, but I've talked about it multiple times on my podcast, the opposite things that happened to me back in March when my daughter was a kindergartner, and she was teaching every day, an hour and a half on the computer. She did not miss a day. And she was on it. We had her on our 50-inch flat screen TV, like where we watch football, and she taught kindergarten. And I kept looking at my wife, and I was just fascinated because I would say to my wife, okay, well, we've just eliminated the job of certain administrators right now. No disrespect, because she doesn't need to be observed. I'm watching her every day as the dad, and that girl's good. She knows how to teach. She's showing up every day when no one else. She's the one who taught me what Zoom was, right? I didn't know what Zoom was. She was the first one in my life, my daughter's teacher, to explain to us parents what this was, this type of learning. And, it was fascinating to see, but everything was out there. And it used to be when my kids would go to school, I didn't really know what they did, right? You just say, how was your day? And they say, good. Yeah. Or bad. But if they said good, that was cool, as long as they were enjoying school and I felt like their skills were getting better. I never really paid attention to what they did. And now that's the end of that. It's all on the table now, which people love that, and some people hate everything about it.
Yeah, I think, I think transparency is great. You can't hide. And so I think the weak teachers became better. The good teachers became great. But now we're at a point where the fatigue and the stress and it's just crumbling. And I'm, every day I read teachers in groups and droves are quitting, and they just, it's too much. They, the pay is horrendous and the stress is terrific. Right. So look at those
two. And look, I think teaching right now is very difficult, no question. But I also think it's a phenomenal time in our profession. It's a time where we're seeing change happen in front of our eyes. And like, that's pretty cool to be a part of, I feel like,
Oh, it is. And going into Google Classrooms and to Zoom and Google Meet every day, it's, oh my God, I love it. You see some of these teachers that are just like, cheek to cheek, kids are laughing, smiling, having fun, and it's phenomenal. I love it. But
no doubt.
Yeah. And everyone compares tired too. It's like, isn't my tired more tired than you're tired? And my busy is more important than you're busy. And it's just like,
I know.
Let's move on. Come on.
Right. Nobody complain. That's what I say. Everyone stop. The only ones who are allowed to complain right now are kids. How about kids are kids? Like, we're not kids. Like, you're grown. Like, grown adults need to push through is sort of my mindset. Push through. Like, kids, we understand you guys because you're kids. And we always give kids, more room than I think we give adults.
Oh, yeah. No doubt, man. Oh, geez.
Crazy stuff. What about your books, man? How did you end up writing those?
It's like a lot of people kind of just, started blogging, and then, one drop of kindness came out of, like you, I'd been in a lot of different schools and classrooms, and, you can feel the difference when you're on a campus that like bleeds kindness. And you see kids laughing and see teachers smiling and helping and opening doors, kids picking up trash, cleaning. You just feel it, right? At the same thing, you can feel when you're over one that's got doom and gloom, gray cloud. You see graffiti, you see kids fighting, teachers yelling at kids and this and that. And, with our, political climate, social unrest, all these different things, I just thought, I just started writing and one drop of kindness came out of me. So like Gus, the main character, is an orphan. Well, my parents had 30 foster kids, right? And so I lived that. He was miserable. That was me. And then, truly came into his life. Wow, that was my 6th grade teacher. And it's just, there's so many kindness bashers out there. Like, a murderer can be kind at a time and open a door for you. But like, dude, is that intentionally trying to make the world a better place? No. Kindness, it's easy, but to me, it really does matter. And one drop, the whole ripple effect, it really can make
Yeah,
a difference. And
a huge difference.
so I write books to try to make someone's day better, change the world a little bit. I sure don't do it for the money, but it's fun. I like changing the focal point and creating messages.
Yeah, it's a great title too. One Drop of Kindness. It's a great title, and that ripple effect. I feel like I've made my entire career on that. Like it's the main consulting that I do is when I meet with teachers in small groups and I tell them bring one kid. Where if we can have a huge impact on one, it will have a ripple effect on your school or on your class, and that's where the whole idea of that one kid comes from. Is that there's oftentimes one or two kids who how they go is how the entire group goes, and how do you get them on your side and make them those kids become your partner versus your battle. A lot of times we're battling with those kids.
Yeah.
What is that like to have a revolving door of 30 to 35 foster kids? Like how, and then you're there through all of that?
Yeah, totally.
Like why did they okay, so I get that they have big hearts, but like that's a lot of kids.
It is. And so, my dad was an only child. My mom was in a real broken home, and they wanted to make life better for some, and some they knew that it was just going to be short term, a couple months or a couple weeks. And then there was others that were with us for years. And because they saw something in that one kid that could really make a difference. And then there's your ripple. That one kid goes and say, God, I had this great experience at this foster house, and now I got adopted. Or maybe they got saved from drugs or an abusive parent or something. And it's just that they were making a difference, even if it was new clothes, hot shower, warm food for a couple days. They didn't have that before, and they got to experience it.
What was the most that you ever had at one time?
Three. We had three sisters that lived with us when I was a real little kid, and then we had groups of two, brother and sister, and things like that. But yeah, three at a time, and living in a small house, me, my sister, three, and my parents. But they made it work, right? And the thing too is like my mom, 35 years in a high school she taught, and she goes home and comes back and does, and there was no tired. It was just
Yeah.
doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So though, did you become close to them? Like were they like siblings to you at all? Did you have good experiences with some, bad experiences with others? Like how was that?
Yeah, I mean, like some I still
Any
keep in touch
horrible
with.
brothers and sisters?
Oh yeah, totally. Like, one guy that wanted me and my sister, I was like 10 and she's like 13, like wanted us to go give us money and go to the store and buy him cigarettes or go do this. And then when he gets moved somewhere else because he wasn't a good fit, coming in breaking in our house, right? And got to call the cops on him. And you figure out, well, got to move on. And then other ones who we've kept in touch with. My mom, still keeps in touch with a couple of them, and they're like sons to her,
Hmm.
right? And yeah, you get this impact. But then there's others where you want to just like goo goo goo. But hey, I didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't know that he was sexually abused and this and that. And like, right, you don't know the story until you hear stuff, and you're like, holy cow! I've been living in this house the whole time. This kid has been doing this and come in. I got to find some empathy somewhere because that's just beyond my comprehension.
Yeah. But as a kid, you don't know the stories either, right?
No, not until like, old enough, or my mom tells me when they're gone, or, whatever. And or in a fit or rage, like, you get in a fight and it's like, yeah, your dad doesn't punch you in the face and throw beer cans at you. Then you start like, what are you talking about? Right. And or cigarette burns on the arm, and it's like, holy cow, that stuff real. That was
Yeah.
like right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a
And so,
world.
yeah, it is. But, like that one kid and that one drop of kindness really flow well together, because you see the kid change. All of a sudden, they're like magnetically improved, and everyone sees this amazing kid. Like, oh my gosh, look at the impact that a person had. And like, the world's a better place. And that's what, that happens with kindness. And, that's kind of like with my new book, It's Me, trying to get people to quit being colorblind and to really see each person for their worth and for their gifts, and making an impact and identifying and allowing people to be different.
Very cool. Listen, man, these times go quick. Any last bits of information or knowledge that you would like to leave people with?
Just stay with your passion, and if you're doing something you hate, do something different, because there's too many there's too many opportunities out there, man. You go drive for Uber and do something, or start your own company, but life is too short, and for me it's spend a day with my school kids, and then with my own, and connecting with friends like you, and just enjoying each moment, because time is limited. Brian, is like, you guys are about to welcome another kid in the world, and your wife, oh, by the way, Brian's
by the time this podcast drops, this kid will probably be in the world, is my guess.
Totally. And Renee Mendler Art, I bought some of your wife's coasters.
I know you did.
We're big ocean people, and your wife's an amazing artist, and it's just like, just enjoy, man.
Agreed.
Quit nagging.
I agreed. And I think, what's been interesting for me with COVID is I feel like, it's been the classic, double-edged sword, like literally like razor sharp on both ends. You know what I'm saying? And like the good and the bad. And like, for me, some of the good is that I've really slowed down in my life. And I used to always be in a hurry, and even being in addiction recovery, like I was always chasing that next high, being on a stage, being in front of people, having people applaud for me. And like, it was like, and then it kind of all shut off, and it was hard. Like it was hard back in March and April to go from like running 100 miles an hour to feeling like you're falling off a cliff. And that's how I felt at certain times. But like this whole new ability to connect with people on here, and to do multiple, virtual seminars in a day with educators from all over the world now, right? It's like you can be everywhere at once. It's a whole new world. And I feel like this ability, I always tell people I hated the snow. We're moving to Florida, which we are mostly because my wife's family's there. That's mostly why we're moving there. But I've always hated the snow, and I've been in New York my whole life. And this is the first winter that I've loved it. I have loved the snow. I've truly enjoyed the snow. And it's like, I'm just I'm going to get done with you. I'm going to go upstairs and run my dog outside in the snow and like, just enjoy it. Cause I'm not traveling. I don't have anywhere to be. And I feel like I've been able to really just slow my life down and really be present, which, I've learned. I used to think that presence with a TS was more important than presence with a CE. And I've learned that the opposite is true. It's really the CE presence that matters more than the TS presence. And, being able to do that, has been an enormous benefit and blessing for me through this whole thing. So
no doubt you're seeing the snow from a different lens and a different focal point for the first time. And I'm the same way. It's like my presence is being with me and enjoying my family and friends, and because who cares about the cars or toys you have, right? It's when you're gone, and that's all that really matters. So.
My grandma used to always say, when they put you in the ground, they don't put anything in there with you.
Right? Nope,
There's nothing that goes in there with you. So we know we're all equal when that happens. And
exactly.
I know it totally. Hey, how can they get your book if they want it?
JeffKubiak.com has got a lot of free resources too for all my books, and Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Goodreads, and check it out. I love doing free author visits too, virtual reads. I have a good time with kids out there. So
One Drop of Kindness is the title. The other title is called It's Me. You can find them on Twitter. You can find them on Instagram. They can find you on Facebook, I'm guessing. Yes.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. Listen, I appreciate everybody else. Don't forget to rate. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to download. We just hit over 500,000 downloads. So shout out to everybody that listened to this. I appreciate all of you, and no idea that it would resonate with a lot of you this much. So thank you for everything. Thank you for all your support. I will be back with you same time next week. Until then, I say peace. I'm out of here.